Hello. I'm so excited. I can't believe you're your first this is a disaster. You're your first reader? I'm gonna like drop the microphone on the ground and I'm very together. I'm so excited to be here. This is a great reading series. Always so many great writers here and a great crowd. And so I was very honored to be asked. Speaking very slowly because I'm afraid of the microphone. So, I honestly didn't know the theme was bounty because I don't read my emails. But I was just thinking like, ooh, bounty. There is a bounty of horror in this book, a bounty of sadness, I would say, and a bounty of young womanhood and lost innocence. So, it's set in Italy, and it's about some girls studying abroad in this age, but throughout the book, it's there are stories of girls throughout Etruscan history who meet terrible ends, and this is one of them. So it's punctuated, I should say. So I'm going to read one of these, and I'll come back to 2007 BC or AD, which is where it's set. Okay, Agnese, 16th century AD. Agnese was 26 and unmarried by choice. By the way, the book is called Abroad. Okay, it's set in Italy. Okay. All right. Agnese was 26 and unmarried by choice. During her childhood, a bout of plague had struck Graphonia, and after losing a brother and cousins, she was no longer interested in forming an attachment. With her father's money, Agnese started an apothecary, particularly popular with the ladies. Throughout the day, servants were sent to procure tinctures for monthly pains, ointments for aging skin, herbs for fertility, even, it was said, for cutting pregnancies short. In 1588, the papacy fueled an inquisition, already rampant in Siena. In Rome, it was said a witch had confessed without torture to the murder of 30 children and to sucking their blood. In Florence, 15 witches had been tried and burned. The Campagna had been weakened by the plague. Many members were lost. The charter was now more than 1,000 years old, and the mission was in question. Though some mercy killings were performed during the great illness, the practice grew too dangerous, as many of the brothers contracted the disease themselves, only to be sequestered. The dead were too many in number to provide proper burials. Many of the members were wondering as to the point of the order at all. Yet now, the witch hunt. Graphonia had a history of distrusting the papacy. The Campagna, after several meetings, concurred that hysteria was truly sold by fools. They were rising again. Agnese was the first turned over. The Campagna would not be able to service the 9 other girls, burned the next weeks. But Agnese's father was part of the order. With bribes, they got her into a cell. She herself instructed the men into the mixing of the poison. Agnese Ganglargi, 26 years old, 16th century AD. All right, and now we're back to 2007. And the two main characters are Taz and Claire is the narrator. The next morning, I woke with a poisonous remorse that is often alcohol's parting gift. The very air in my room felt acidic. Claire was strumming the guitar in the living room, and though there was a door between us, it sounded as if her fingernails were raking my head. "Made you breakfast," Claire said when I came out. I shuffled to the counter, where she sat at a bowl of fruit and some yogurt. In my diminished state, the colors looked radioactive. "Thank you." Time-tested university recipe, yogurt to calm your stomach, fruit for detox, juice for sugar, and the most important food group, Advil. She pointed to 2 pills she laid by my plate. "This is so kind." I poked the yogurt with a spoon, knowing I'd never be able to get it down. "No worries," she said. "I'm so sorry about last night. Please. You know how many times I've puked my guts out from drinking? She sipped her coffee. I sat near her, setting the food on the table. Pretty insane in there, I guess, she said. In the club. She looked at me over her coffee. Taz, can I say something to you? I can't pretend to be coherent, but yes, you can. Just because we're away from home doesn't mean you have to be something you don't want to be. I pushed the yogurt around. I'm not following you. The clothes, the drinking, until you can't fucking stand up, it's just not you. How do you know it's me, I said, my face flushing. You just met me. Anyway, you're the one that was talking all that liberation rubbish. I'm not saying I'm a guru. Half of what I say is bullshit. You have to figure out what makes you happy. You're different. Different. I'm saying don't push yourself into being a slut because your friends want you to. Well, I said, maybe I'm trying this freedom thing too. All right, okay. Claire held up her hands in surrender. What are you doing today? I don't know, I was planning on lying down. And miss the festival? Ugh, I can't. Come on, come with me. It's like the Capulets versus the Montagues or some shit. It's some big fucking deal. I looked out the window. The sky was achingly clear blue. I could hear it now. The music from the square was already ricocheting off the hills. You get to be this happy now. All right. I went back to my room and put on my jeans and my Nottingham jacket. Too tired to shower, I rinsed my face and brushed my teeth and froze when I saw my reflection in the mirror. My skin had a green cast to it and there were dark smudges under my eyes. My teeth looked yellow in the bathroom light. God, I cried, I look 30. You look great, Claire said, crowding beside me, her face right next to mine. Her cheekbones slanted upwards where my cheeks were full. Next to my dark eyes, hers were a shocking hue of green. There was something otherworldly about her beauty. It made one blind to anyone else in the room. I moved back, afraid I would disappear. Well, we both look tired, she said, but who cares, right? We stepped into the garden through the gate and made our way up to the main piazza. The air was thick with the smell of cooked sugar. The alley we took was narrow and steep. The sun was blocked on three sides by the high wall, so that the only light that fell was in an opening between the houses hundreds of feet above. Every balcony was crammed with herb pots and laundry. All around us, students and families pressed open towards the festival. Claire grabbed my hand so as not to lose me. Then, just as the little street was too crowded to bear, we were tossed into the wide main square, punctuated by the huge fountain. We dropped hands and took a breath looking around. A band was set up on a stage in front of the palace steps, and well-dressed children ran back and forth, darting by our legs. Festive as it was, the crush of people was weakening my resolve. There was too much alcohol in my system. My head felt caught in a vice grip, my vision blurred. It occurred to me I was still a little drunk. I think a nap. Wait here, Claire said, parking me on the edge of the stone steps of the cathedral. I'll get us whatever they're rioting over. She muscled her way through the small crowd out of sight for a moment, before appearing a minute later with 2 paper cups. Brandy, I think? Claire, I can't drink this. It's exactly what you need. Just try it. We put the limp paper cups to our lips. The concoction was bitter yet sweet. She was right. The warmth in my throat and stomach helped. She took my wrist and led me to the steps of the cathedral, where I'd first seen Claire just a few weeks before. We sipped our brandies, looking out at the throngs. I bought some olive oil for my mother. It was found later under my bed, wrapped. And we wandered over to the less crowded pocket of the festival. There was a puppet show in the little square in front of the Irish pub, a rendition of Peter and the Wolf. Parents stood around as their children strayed in and out. Their voices rose, melded, and spiraled around us, caught by the stone walls of the square. Suddenly, to my left, I heard a roar. I looked around the corner and saw Fiat, its driver, uninformed of the festival, hurtling up the street. I grabbed Claire's arm. Just a few feet from us, a little boy was playing with the ball directly in the path of the car. "Ricardo!" a man shouted. Claire shook me off and lurched forward, though there was no possible way for her to get to the child in time. A few yards ahead, a man, perhaps the father, launched his body in front of the car. He flew through the air as if in a stop-motion movie and bounced off the hood and rolled into the street. The impact didn't stop the car, but it did slow it down, and the older man reached out and snatched the little boy out of the way. He screamed, as did the women around him. The man who fell in the street groaned in pain. "Get him water, an ambulance, get back. Maria, get the mother." "Fuck, what should we do?" Claire cried. "Get out of the way," I said. No, we should, really." I tugged her arm. "They're not going to want outsiders here." It was hard to pull her out of there, but after a minute, she finally relented. We retreated down the alley back towards the fountain and the cathedral steps. "I guess they'll be okay," she said. "Yes," I said. The festival was pulsing harder now. Revelers swelled around us, jostling our shoulders, spilling glasses of beer. Another band had started, tinny Italian rock, and the sound was deafening. "Let's go home," I said. "Yes." Claire hooked her arm in mine and steered me on a roundabout path to our cottage. We passed beneath an Etruscan arch into a small stone stairway, and as if a cruel spell had been lifted, the music diminished. I concentrated on the steep, narrow steps, coated in dust and gum. 2 black dogs darted back and forth in front of us, searching for scraps in the bins. "Well," I said after a while, "you got right in there." "What do you mean?" she said. "All I did was stand aside. Of course there is no way to... But you actually were running to save that kid." It was just instinctual." My head was pounding from the hangover again. "Yeah, I'm supposing that's what I'm talking about. I'm impressed by you. Taz, it was nothing. Stupidity, if anything. You know, like if you see a baby going for a socket with a fork, you don't just sit there and do nothing. You run for it. It's called being human. It's called your gut." Looking back on this now, it's hard for me to believe this conversation really happened. That after coming so close to witnessing a death, she and I spoke these words, as if the day were scripted to give us hints of what was to come. For this is not just a memory selectively shaped by things a girl is willing to admit and remember. I can't tell you much about where I am now, but I can say this. Later you can hear your life again, word for word, unbiased, as though recorded by an invisible hand. And you know, it's the silly things that become extraordinary. When you're going on and on, thinking you're being meaningful, it's all just garbage. It's the throwaways that count in the end. "You have a stronger gut than I do," I told her. "Oh, come on. You'd come after me if I were a baby with a fork, I mean, right?" "Yeah, I guess." "Oh, I'd fork anyone for you," she said. She said that. She did. "Mother forker." "Shut it, Claire," I said, laughing. "Fork it," she said.